The Restless and Young have, after splitting from Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer, Claire Grace Newman, Haley Aaron, is now single and eager to go out and experience life to the fullest. We will discuss Claire's plans now that she is single and ready to socialize. Claire recently ended her relationship with Kyle, in part because she needs more life experience and in part because he lied about kissing Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver. Claire wants to see more of the world before getting married because Kyle was her first in every sense. If Kyle had just given her time to gather her thoughts after all of the Audra Charles information was revealed, he might have been able to persuade her to stay with him. Instead, Kyle stepped forward and made a proposal in an attempt to make matters worse. Furthermore, he persisted even after she rejected the suggestion. Kyle's proposal, in my opinion, is what made Claire realize that she can't commit to anyone at this time, least of all him, because she plunged in too quickly and too deeply. Now, she wants a fresh start. After being dominated by her insane aunt Jordan Howard, Colleen Zank, her entire life, Claire is still discovering who she is. We have some suggestions for what she ought to do next now that she is free to live her life as she pleases, free from Jordan's or Kyle's pressure. The first thing to think about is Holden Novak, Nathan Owens. He's quite attractive, and I believe Claire ought to broaden her horizons in terms of romance, or at the very least intimacy. Kyle had already claimed that Claire's trip to see Holden in Los Angeles was a ruse, and that he is a playboy. However, I believe Claire wants to enjoy herself and get more experience. But since she recently ended a very serious relationship with Kyle, I will state that I hope she doesn't fall in love with Holden. Before entering into another committed relationship, Claire has to experience life to the fullest. But Holden could be a great spot for her to start doing a little more exploring, a little more living, you know. Claire should, in my opinion, push Nate Hastings to get back in touch with her mother, Victoria Newman, as the next step. Claire can then slap Audra Charles with the fact that Nate is seeing someone better, and he will never look at Audra again. I now think that Young and the Restless is prepared to go back and look at Nate and Victoria together. Because Nate was cheating on Alina Dawson with Victoria throughout their most recent relationship, they didn't do it properly. Victor Newman, Eric Braden, as usual, then inserted his nose where it didn't belong. However, Victoria and Nate are now in quite different locations. Both of them have grown significantly and have formed a close and sincere friendship. Therefore, I believe that Victoria and Nate could be a great match right now. Thus, spending some time with her uncle Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, is the third thing I would like to see Claire accomplish. Because of the constant crises with the Newmans, they haven't had the opportunity to truly connect and get to know one another. Claire and Adam definitely seem to have a lot in common, in my opinion. The fourth thing I want to see is Claire and her grandfather, Victor Newman, establish some very clear limits. He must understand that he will never again have the opportunity to interfere in Claire's life. Given how he treated her and Kyle so badly when he made that deal with Audra Charles, I believe Claire should make it very plain to Victor that this was their only opportunity to work with me. Never again intrude with my relationships. Fifth and lastly, I believe that as soon as Claire returns from Los Angeles, she should return to Genoa City and publicly humiliate Kyle with her sexy rebound relationship with Holden. Yes, I am aware that Victor was planning to harm Claire and Kyle, but Kyle is the one who overreached himself with Audra Charles. Whatever his justification for attempting to expose her plot, in my opinion, he was actually cheating. Kyle had every chance to outdo Victor and prove himself to be the stronger man. However, Kyle let Victor to treat him like a cheap fiddle instead. And it was Kyle who, by saying all those falsehoods, finally ruined his relationship with Claire. When Kyle and Audra were rolling around on the bed with just a towel between them, kissing furiously, putting their hands together, and then scarcely stopping, I sincerely hope Claire ultimately finds out. The streets of Genoa City have never been short on drama, but lately they've been buzzing louder than ever. At the center of it all is Claire Grace, a woman whose presence in the Newman family has already created seismic waves, and now, following her bitter split from Kyle Abbott, she's determined to prove she's more than just a cautionary tale. Claire's next move isn't just bold. It's a gamble that could change everything in the lives of Genoa City's elite. Claire and Kyle's romance was always precarious, a love affair forged in whispers and glances, yet destined for complications. Kyle, long known for his rocky entanglements and inability to separate business from pleasure, saw in Claire a spark, someone who had endured betrayal, reinvention, and family chaos just as he had. For Claire, Kyle was both a safe harbor and a dangerous temptation, the perfect contradiction that lured her in. But as the saying goes in Genoa City, what burns brightest often burns out fastest. Their breakup wasn't just messy. It was a public unraveling. Jealousy, resentment, and old wounds from the Abbott and Newman feuds clawed their way into the relationship. The once private couple found themselves fighting in boardrooms, exchanging icy stares at family dinners, and eventually delivering their final blow in the open. Kyle's inability to trust fully and Claire's stubborn refusal to be seen as anyone's second choice ensured that their love story ended in flames. For Kyle, heartbreak is familiar territory, but for Claire, this breakup cuts deeper. Having fought so hard to rebuild her life after her troubled past, she viewed this relationship as a chance at stability. The fallout left her at a crossroads: retreat into the shadows of shame and defeat, or step forward with a renewed sense of purpose. After weeks of icy silences and whispered speculation in the Newman and Abbott circles, she emerged with a new look in her eye, one of determination. Rather than letting the breakup define her, Claire decided it was time to write her own story. The bold move came unexpectedly. Claire walked into Newman Media's offices and announced her intention to start a new venture, independent of both the Abbotts and the Newmans. Her pitch: a multimedia lifestyle brand that would not only compete with the corporate empires around her, but also give her a chance to shape her own legacy. "You can't control where you come from," Claire reportedly said during her first pitch to investors, "but you can decide what you do with your story. I want to create something that empowers people to take back their narrative." The announcement stunned both families. For the Abbotts, it was a reminder that Kyle's ex wasn't fading quietly into the background. For the Newmans, it was a challenge to their long-standing dominance in Genoa City's media world. And for Claire, it was more than business, it was freedom. Claire's new venture quickly became the talk of town, not just for its ambitious goals, but for the way she handled it. At her launch event, she arrived in a sleek, confident ensemble, poised, radiant, and unapologetic. Cameras flashed, reporters buzzed, and whispers spread like wildfire. Claire Grace was officially staking her claim in Genoa City. What made her move bold wasn't just the business, it was the symbolism. By stepping away from her reliance on Kyle or the Newman name, she was rewriting her story from victim to visionary. Her first campaign highlighted personal growth, featuring stories from Genoa City residents who had turned their struggles into triumphs. It was raw, emotional, and instantly relatable. Fans and citizens alike were captivated. While Claire soared, Kyle spiraled. Watching Claire thrive without him left him both threatened and strangely regretful. He threw himself into Abbott business, made impulsive decisions, and lashed out at family members. Jack Abbott worried his son was unraveling, but Kyle refused to admit the truth. Losing Claire had hit him harder than he anticipated. Rumors swirled that Kyle was already planning ways to undermine Claire's new business. Whether motivated by jealousy, spite, or lingering love, his obsession with her next move only deepened the drama. Behind the confidence and determination, however, Claire still wrestled with heartbreak. Nights alone in her apartment, she replayed moments with Kyle, the laughter, the stolen glances, the promises they never kept. Starting over wasn't just about proving herself to the world. It was about proving to herself that she could survive love lost. She leaned heavily on Nikki for guidance, finding in her a mentor who reminded her that true strength often comes from the darkest seasons. She also forged a surprising friendship with Chance Chancellor, whose steady presence offered her the kind of support Kyle never quite managed. Claire's bold move has positioned her as one of the most intriguing figures in Genoa City's ever-unfolding saga. Her independence threatens old power structures, ignites rivalries, and keeps both the Abbotts and Newmans on edge. But the biggest question remains: what happens when Kyle realizes that in trying to destroy her, he might just reignite the fire between them? Will Claire's resolve hold strong, or will old feelings pull her back into dangerous territory? For now, Claire is focused on her vision, her business, and her newfound confidence. Genoa City has always been a place where ambition and love collide, but rarely has anyone walked into the storm with as much determination as Claire Grace. And as the sun sets over Newman Towers and Abbott Manor, one thing is clear: this is only the beginning.